The movie is set in the year 1999, good times, and it revolves around a programmer named Thomas Anderson, who works for a popular software company. He also moonlights as a hacker and is known in the dark net by his alias, Neo. Throughout his life, Neo has had strange visions about something called the Matrix. However, he has never been able to decode his dreams. One day, while working on the computer, he receives a message vaguely referring to his dreams and instructing him to follow the White Rabbit. Someone then knocks on the door, and when Neo answers, he is greeted by a group of ravers. They buy illegal contraband from him and then invite him to a party. Neo initially declines the offer, but soon changes his mind and agrees to accompany them when he notices a tattoo of a white rabbit on one of the girls. The group then heads over to a rave bar, and there, Neo is approached by a woman named Trinity. She makes it clear that it was her who sent him the text about the White Rabbit and the Matrix. Curious, Neo asks her to explain, but Trinity replies that she can only tell him that his life is in danger and that he is currently under surveillance. Following the strange encounter, a perplexed Neo returns home. The next day at work, he receives a package in his cubicle. Inside, he finds a phone, which immediately starts ringing. On the other end of the line, a man named Morpheus speaks to Neo and warns him that someone is coming for him. He advises him to slowly look up at the elevator. Neo sees 3 agents led by Mr. Smith looking in his direction as a woman points towards his cubicle. Morpheus tries to help Neo get out of the building, but the latter is so puzzled that he allows himself to be arrested by the agents. In the next scene, Neo is taken in for an interrogation where he is informed that he has broken every possible cyber law in the country. Smith tells him that he is most likely to be headed for a life sentence in prison, but there's a way out of this. He can walk out a free man if he helps the agents in nabbing Morpheus, the man who contacted him earlier. Smith describes Morpheus as the most dangerous terrorist alive. However, Neo refuses to comply and asks to speak with his lawyer. Smith then tells him that there's no use of calling if he can't utter a word. Just then, Neo's lips become fused together out of nowhere, and he is slammed on the table by the agents. Then, a shrimp-like probe is implanted in his belly button. Been there, dude. The next second, Neo wakes up in a cold sweat in his room. He is left pondering if it was all just a frightening dream. Suddenly, he gets a call from Morpheus, who asks him to meet at Adam's Bridge, promising to answer all of Neo's questions. Neo finally decides to comply and heads to the location. There, he is picked up by Trinity and 2 other people in a car. One of them points a gun at him and orders him to take off his shirt. Whoa. Neo is puzzled, but Trinity assures him that it is for their mutual benefit that he must comply. He hesitantly obliges, and shockingly, Trinity pulls out the device that the agents had implanted in his body. It turns out Neo wasn't dreaming, after all. Trinity then takes him to an abandoned building where they reunite with Morpheus. The mysterious man tells Neo that all the answers he has been seeking all his life can't really be explained. They can only be seen and experienced. Morpheus then warns Neo that once he learns the truth, he can never go back. Afterwards, Neo is given the decision: blue pill or red pill. The first pill shall take him back to his old life, with no recollection of his meeting with Morpheus, Trinity, and the others, while the red pill will make him extremely social and touching stuff will feel great for a couple hours. Actually, the red pill will keep him in the Wonderland, and Morpheus will show how deep the rabbit hole goes. After a brief deliberation, Neo obviously chooses the red pill, meaning he wants to learn the truth. So, he is strapped to a chair and fitted with some wires. To his shock, he sees a shattered mirror miraculously repair itself. Puzzled and intrigued, he touches the surface, and lo and behold, the silver begins to creep over his skin. Meanwhile, Morpheus's crew attempts to locate something on the monitors. Eventually, the silver fluid completely covers Neo, and he blacks out. The movie makes a really cool noise here that's like, oh. He then wakes up in a pink embryonic pod, hairless and naked. There are several black tubes attached all over his body, like he has become some sort of a lab rat. After a while, Neo emerges from the pod and shockingly learns that he is surrounded by tower after tower of pods, all filled with humans. Soon, a hovering robot nurse spots him moving, and he is swiftly discarded into the gutter. Countless human lives reduced to the function of mere batteries for the machines. As Neo is about to sink in the waste, a hovercraft appears and he is hauled into the ship's cargo bay. To his relief, the craft belongs to Morpheus, and he reunites with him and his crew, now clad in simple hand-knit garments. As Neo begins to lose consciousness, Morpheus says, "Welcome to the real world." Neo's muscles have atrophied after apparently having been in a state of coma his entire life. He also experiences pain in his eyes, which is due to him having never used them before. before. Therefore, Morpheus and his crew spend the next few weeks treating his body. One day, Neo finally gains consciousness. He is fully clothed and has grown some hair on his head. Morpheus then appears and informs him that they are inside his ship called the Nebuchadnezzar. Moreover, it's the year 2199, not 1999, as Neo and others in his world were made to believe. He then gets a tour of the ship and is introduced to the rest of the crew: Apoc, Cypher, Mouse, and brothers Tank and Dozer. The crew straps Neo onto a chair and inserts a long probe into the back of his skull. The very next second, Neo finds himself in an all-white world with Morpheus. He has a head full of hair, and he no longer has sockets all over his body. Morpheus explains that the white space is actually a computer program, and they can turn into anything they want. The chairs and TV in front of them are not real. They are simply computer-generated virtual realities. Neo is then shown footage of a modern city, which he knew as his real world. Morpheus reveals that this world is a neural interactive simulation, which he calls the Matrix. Next, Neo learns about the actual real world, which is revealed to be a dark, desolate emptiness with a shrouded sky. It turns out at the end of the 20th century, humans and AI machines fought a war against each other. At that time, the AI machines were powered by solar energy, so the humans blotted out the sky in an attempt to defeat them. However, the AI machines outsmarted the humans, enslaved them, and used them as the main power source of their world. They made use of the 120 volts of electricity and 25,000 BTUs of body heat generated by the human body to power themselves. When the demand increased, the AI started farming humans in a vast field, connecting them to their outlets and entrapping them in their pods. The world Neo has known as his is just a matrix, and it is a computer-generated world created to keep humans under control so that they can be used as a power source. Morpheus and his crew are the only free humans, along with the citizens of a city called Zion. It is the last remaining human city, hidden deep beneath the ground near the Earth's core. Turns out, Morpheus and his team regularly hack their way into the Matrix, using telephones to free more humans from slavery. Machine programs control the Matrix. The agents that Neo encountered earlier are examples of machine programs. They can take over any human in the Matrix that is under their control. Meanwhile, there are autonomous machines called the Sentinels that operate in the real world. They patrol the ancient sewers and passageways of the dead human cities in search of humans who may have woken up from the Matrix. Neo is overwhelmed by the revelation, so he pukes and passes out. Later, when he comes to terms with reality, he is taught a series of martial arts techniques, including Taekwondo, drunken boxing, and Kung Fu. I know Kung Fu. I know crochet. I know how to play Fortnite. I know how to be obnoxious about craft beer. In a matter of hours, with the help of computer simulation, Neo's performance amazes Morpheus, and he is reminded of a prophecy made by someone named the Oracle, who prophesied that Neo will free humankind from machine slavery. Next, Neo learns how to free his mind and jump from one building to another in the Matrix. He is warned that if he dies inside the Matrix, he will also die in the real world. That day, a sentinel comes close to detecting their presence, but the crew manages to hide in the huge sewer system by disabling their power. The following day, Morpheus, Trinity, Apoc, Switch, Mouse, Cypher, and Neo go inside the Matrix to meet the Oracle. However, on their way to the destination, Cypher secretly discards his cell phone for some reason. The group eventually arrives at the Oracle's home, and it turns out that she raises potentials, a group of children who possess specific qualities of enlightenment and awareness. When Neo introduces himself to the Oracle, she surprisingly tells him that he is not the one, and one day he will have to choose to save either Morpheus or himself. Later, when the group proceeds to head back, they are ambushed. It turns out that Cypher sold them out. He had gotten tired of fighting for the liberation of humankind, so he now wants to go back to his ignorant yet blissful life in the Matrix. The agents spray the group with bullets, and it results in Mouse's death. Tank manages to help the rest of the crew escape through the walls. However, they are soon spotted by an agent, so Morpheus sacrifices himself so that the others can escape. After a bit of a scare, Trinity and the group manage to escape, but Cypher returns to his real body back in the Nebuchadnezzar. Before them, he immediately kills the unsuspecting Tank and Dozer before starting to unplug the crew in the real world one by one. However, before he could get to Trinity, Tank, who has somehow survived the attack, gets up and shoots Cypher dead. In the next scene, Trinity and Neo safely make it back to the ship, while Agent Smith interrogates Morpheus about the city of Zion. Afraid that Morpheus will spill their secrets, Tank Tank suggests unplugging him, but Neo says no. He remembers Oracle telling him that he is not the one, but he can choose to save Morpheus. Hence, Neo decides to bring back Morpheus by sacrificing himself. Trinity is impressed by his determination, and she decides to join him as well. After arming themselves with a plethora of weapons, the two head to the building where Morpheus has been kept. They shoot their way past the guards and make their way to the lift. They then climb to the top of the building through the cable and blow up the lobby with a bomb. On the roof, they are attacked by police, who are remotely controlled by the agents. A long battle follows, but Neo eventually manages to neutralize the police and board their chopper along with Trinity. The pair fly the helicopter and hover it around the floor where Morpheus has been held hostage. They then open fire at the agents, compelling them to take shelter. Morpheus uses this opportunity to escape and jump towards the chopper. Meanwhile, Neo immediately ties himself to a rope and jumps out to catch Morpheus. They get hold of each other, but the agents manage to sabotage the helicopter, so the two are forced to jump on top of one of the buildings. Meanwhile, as the chopper crashes, Trinity grabs the rope and jumps. Neo quickly saves her, and seeing this, Morpheus exclaims, "You are the one." Neo reminds him about their last encounter with the Oracle, but Morpheus replies that she told him exactly what he needed to hear. Reverse psychology never fails. Following this, the three quickly rush inside a subway and locate a telephone booth. Morpheus and Trinity manage to escape, but Neo is confronted by Agent Smith. Left with no choice, he decides to take on the deadly agent, resulting in a brutal fight. As expected, Smith overpowers our hacker boy with his nearly invincible moves. Not even the fabled throat flicks can take him down. He throws Neo into the train tracks and puts him in a headlock. Soon, the train approaches, but Neo somehow backflips off the tracks, leaving the agent to die. However, Smith takes over another human and starts chasing Neo. At the same time, the Nebuchadnezzar comes under attack from the Sentinels. Tank and the crew prepare to launch an electromagnetic pulse against them, but they can only do so once Neo returns. Meanwhile, the latter evades attacks from Smith as he is guided by Tank into a building. Unfortunately, just as he enters room 303, the agent catches up to him and shoots him several times in the heart, killing him instantly. The situation is even worse at the ship. The Sentinels have begun tearing the place apart. With time running out, Trinity becomes emotional and leans over Neo's lifeless body, confessing that the Oracle had prophesied she would fall in love with a man, and he would be the one. As the Sentinels' lasers begin to cut open the hovercraft, Trinity confesses her love for Neo and kisses him. Necrophilia saves the day. Lo and behold, he wakes up. The agents notice him, and without wasting any time, they open fire. However, Neo telekinetically stops the bullets mid-air and drops them on the ground, making for one of the most epic movie scenes of all time. Neo has embodied the One, and he begins to see through the Matrix. He sees cascades of machine codes, and using his newfound powers, he defeats Smith effortlessly before returning back to the ship. Just then, Morpheus launches the EMP and destroys the Sentinels. When Neo opens his eyes, he finds Trinity leaning over him, so he gives her a kiss. The movie ends with Neo continuing to fight to free humankind from AI slavery. He re-enters the Matrix and takes flight, proving that he is the one. And then Chad Kroger cuts in on the mic and goes, "Send a hero, save us!" Sorry, I got the wrong